And as new COVID infections increase among children, schools are once again taking action. Some districts putting in those face mask mandates, which has set off legal challenges from parents and state officials. Other districts are returning to remote learning. An elementary school in Denver says it doesn't have enough staff now to stay open because of the new cases. Some schools also adjusting their lesson plans to accommodate their students. So let's break it down now with some of the brightest minds in politics. Democratic strategist Terron Sims is with us, as is GOP strategist Melik Abdul, and Atiba Madyun, who is the CEO of Party Politics U.S. and also the author of the book Saving Grace. Melik, I'll begin with you. In Texas, 2 teachers dying from COVID. Now the school district closing all of its campuses. Connolly school officials say this news has been tough on everyone. Take a listen.
It's very heartbreaking as far as for our students and staff. And my heart goes out to them, as well as many of the Connolly ISD staff members.
Melik, not only a problem in Texas, but also in Florida, both systems at the center of a fight over masks. But here's the question. 22,000 kids in Florida have been infected since the start of the school year. Are children and teachers there being used as pawns in political battles in both states?
No, and I think the political battle, or the pawn, really is discussion in the media that we continue to focus on what's happening in Texas and Florida, typically on liberal networks. The focus is on what's happening in these red states, when the fact is that if you look at the CDC, not what I'm saying, if you look at the information that the government is putting out around the country, these cases have actually ticked up.
Love you dearly. But we ain't going here today. This is not a liberal versus a Democratic versus a Republican thing, because let's point this out. The state with the lowest infection rate right now, Vermont, Republican governor. The state with the lowest hospitalization rate, Vermont. The state with the highest vaccination rate, Vermont, Republican governor. So let's break this down to what it really is. 2 states specifically, very large states, Florida and Texas, having mask mandates at a time when every expert in the area of health says masks help. Are children being used as political pawns, yes or no?
Well, let's be clear. You asked me specifically about red states. That's what you did. I didn't bring that up. You actually asked me that. So
no,
that's why
I
I'm
pointed out Florida
and
Texas, 2 of the largest states in the union.
If you give me the chance to actually respond to what you're saying, I can finish my thought instead of you interrupting me. No, I don't think that children are being used as political pawns. I think that we in media use what's happening in Texas and Florida, which happens to be some of the biggest states in the country. We're using those numbers to then say this is a conservative versus liberal thing. This literally happens all the time. So this is not the first time that we've been here. We know, yes, those numbers are horrible in both Texas and Florida, but I don't think that children themselves are being used as pawns. And let's be clear on what we're talking about. Even with the infections thus far, the CDC has already said that the mask, there are limits to the effectiveness of wearing masks. We knew this last year and even now, because there's a difference between the cloth mask that, just a typical cloth mask that people are wearing versus the N95 mask. Most people who are actually in school, whether it's in school or even me walking around my city, we're not using those N95 masks that have a much, much, much greater chance of stopping some type of infection.
Atiba.
So those are the things that we do know that are literally happening on the ground right now. And I think it's important that we focus our energy on those type of things, on all of the methods
I'm going to focus my energy on protecting the children. So Atiba, I'm going to ask you this question. Are the 2 governors in those 2 states, which are 2 of the largest states in the union, Greg Abbott in Texas, Ron DeSantis in Florida, if they were Democrat, I would be asking the same question. Are they doing their very level best to protect the children of those 2 states?
Bottom line, no, they are not. They are using them as political pawns. We have been seeing this happen since the outset of this outbreak. We saw the former president talk about ingesting a chemical to clean our bodies of a virus. The science says wear masks. The science says get a vaccine. The science shows that when we do these things, the spread of the virus slows down. The unvaccinated become a host right now. They become a host for the virus to incubate and then mutate. That's why we have the Delta variant. That's why we have the Lambda variant that's coming behind it. And it's becoming stronger. And it's the reason why you're seeing more people getting sick now is because we have too large of a population that remains unvaccinated, too many politicians arguing over masks, and them trying to put our attention on what's going on in another country. Right now, we need to focus right here. Wear a mask, protect yourselves, protect your loved ones, protect your friends, protect yourself. It's a simple thing. Wear a mask, get vaccinated. We are in this together, and we're not going to get out of this by putting children in classrooms while teachers are getting sick, and then they're all going back into their homes and getting their family sick. We have to do better. Wearing a mask in schools is not a hard thing. It's not comfortable, but it is the way that we work to slow this and hopefully get kids back in schools.
Terron, you want to bite at this apple?
Why not? I would say not just the kids, but people in general being used as pawns, right? There was this misnomer when Corona first started that children were less immune to it, but people kept forgetting that it seemed that children were less immune because children were being sequestered, right? They got pulled out of school. They weren't around their classmates. They weren't around their friends. They weren't going to sleepovers, and the movie theaters were shut down. So you didn't have that natural kid mingling thing going on. And now that we're bringing our children back in the classroom, and I'm an education advocate up here as well, and teachers not wanting to go back to school per the numbers that you just stated earlier in the opening statement. But we're now seeing that because of the irresponsibility of governors like Abbott and DeSantis, they're still trying to perpetuate the lies and the misnomers about Corona just for the simple reason of trying to maintain their power base. And they're doing it to the detriment of their citizens. And sadly, that detriment are their lives.